Hi everyone, this is Emanuele from Italy, but you know me better as Evil Dead Italia. And tonight I'm coming back from. Sorry, I had some audio problem here. Sorry. So I'm coming back from my pause. I was away from the live streaming from circa 1 year, and this is related to the fact I became dead in the last 9 months. So the life has been really busy and complex to manage. But I'm very happy because tonight we are going to come back with a very cool interview to Andrew D. Barker. Andrew D. Barker is the Andrew David Barker is the author of the romance that lives. That it's a story about three guys searching for the Evil Dead VHS during the nasty video periods in UK. So without any further ado, here we have Andrew. Hello, Andy. How are
Hi.
you?
Hi, very well, thank you. Are you getting enough sleep with your new fatherhood?
Yeah, it's a very complex moment for me, but I'm learning day by day how to
I,
survive this.
I totally understand. Yes, I've been there. My first kid didn't sleep for like 5 years, so yeah, I feel you. But you know, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully, a new Evil Dead fans here to 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 make grow with a passion like mine. Hopefully. Before beginning with the live itself, I would like just to remind you a sad thing. I was deeply saddened to hear about the passing of Scott Spiegel yesterday. Since I had the honor of interviewing him not more than a year ago, I'll probably be dedicating a special but not live stream episode to share this that conversation and celebrate his legacy. It was a very sad moment for Evil Dead fans, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it sure was. I was shocked when I saw it on your page first, as it happens, and yeah, I was really saddened to hear that. And it made me think of because all those guys when they started making films together, um, made me think of my mates because me and my mates started making films in a later period to them, probably 10 years later. But we just, just racing around car parks and the woods and just jumping off roofs and stuff, just rolling around and dressing up just like they were. And it made me think of, I wonder how all those guys feel, you know, now one of their sort of core team has gone. It must be very strange for them. Um, Also, it made me want to go and watch not just Evil Dead 2, but also Intruder, which I think is a really underrated film. I really like that film.
Yeah. It's a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I used to have it. I lost my copy. I need to get it again. But yeah, it's very sad that Scott's gone. He'll be much missed. Great writer.
Yeah, absolutely. Even a great director.
Mm.
So, just before beginning, just a reminder about we are going to talk about. This is the oldest version of the book, Dead Lives, and Andrew has the new one that is
I do. I
already
do.
available, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes, this is the 10th anniversary edition. But we'll get to that. It's a bit of a bumper pack. You've got the old, I think you've got the first pressing, I think. You've
Yeah.
also got the VHS one, haven't you?
Sadly not, because I was too slow in getting one.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. I thought you had one. Yeah. Okay. I'll send you one.
Oh,
I've
thank
got
you,
a couple
so
left.
much.
I'll send you
Thank you
one.
so much.
Yeah, that was my first publisher, Boo Books. That was his idea. It'd be cool if we did it as a video. I was like, yeah, that would be cool. And it's such a slim volume to fit in. It's it's the size of a videotape. The book is.
Yeah. I remember the fact that the videotape
Yeah,
was Was
It's very cool. Yeah, there's a few people. I think there's a few knocking about here and there. Yeah. Anyway,
you are a director too, right? You have directed some movie.
I've just finished on a film I shot last October. It's my first feature film in well, since 2011. I couldn't work out how long that was. 14 years. So I made a feature film years ago, A Reckoning, which was a sort of a last man on earth tale, micro budget film. This is again micro budget. It's a ghost story, and it's very simple premise. It's about a young lad who gets tasked with painting and decorating a house, and he's quite a troubled young man, let's say. And he discovers that the room upstairs is occupied by an unseen entity, and he uses that entity to extract revenge on the people that have wronged him. It's called The House on Liderman Street. So we've literally just finished. We've got the sound guys are just finishing off we've got a 5.1 mix. We're just finishing that. Then the whole process of trying to get this film out in the world starts. And as it's my first feature film, after making shorts for a number of years, I'm going to have to relearn it all. You know, the whole world has changed since I last made a film, and distribution's different. My whole network of or knowledge of any distributors has sort of gone. So I'm kind of starting again. So the plan is to try and get into some festivals and just slowly trickle it out that way, see if we get some interest from those screenings, if we get in any, and see if we can get a distributor and get it picked up. It might take a year or so, but at least we've got a film done, you know.
Yeah, it's worth your time. I mean,
yeah,
makes sense. It makes full sense. So let's begin with the question about your book. The first one is that Dead Leaves is now 10 years old. Looking back, what does this anniversary mean to you as the author?
Well, firstly, I can't believe it's 10 years, which, you know, I'm sure someone's stealing time from us. I don't know where it goes, but it's quite a personal book, even though I'd say that the book is sort of set before I came of age, let's say. It's set in 1983. I was only 8 years old in 1983. My sort of video coming of age, should we say, is probably 87, 88. But still, there's reasons for why I set it before that, which I could get to later. But it's a very personal novel in the fact that it's set in my hometown of Derby in the UK. It's a very working class industrial town. I grew up in a small sort of village just outside the city centre called Alveston, which is where the book's also set. Interestingly, the actor Jack O'Connell is also from Alveston, but he's younger than me by about 10 years. But it is Jack O'Connell, isn't it? Yes, that's his name. Anyway, so it's personal in the fact that the streets, the city, all those corners and pockets that I use in the book, I've got history tied to all those places. And I just wanted to write something initially about that strong pull that I have towards these films, and this film in particular, The Evil Dead, and what that sort of meant to me growing up, and how that film inspired me to want to make my own films and to be creative. You know, just hearing about those guys and how they did it really inspired me, and never fails to inspire me. You know, if I'm ever feeling like, I've hit a wall or anything, or I've kind of got no drive or any spark of creativity, I could just read about those guys, Sam and Rob and Bruce going out to that cabin and making this film, and it just, I don't know why, it just lights a fire under me, because they just did it. It was rock and roll. It was punk rock. They just went and did it and changed everything, you know. Just a couple of kids with just doing it through the force of sheer will and ambition. And that never fails to inspire me. So that I wanted to capture something of that in the book, and have my protagonist also get that spark of creativity from them as well, and want to get out of his surroundings.
Yeah, I can feel it. I mean, the magic of the Evil Dead is not just the plot itself of the movie, but even how the movie was conceived.
Yeah.
So
it's so intrinsically tied to the experience of viewing it. I think it makes it a richer film, having known how they did it. I think.
Yeah. I fully agree. Yeah.
When I was, as I said, my sort of coming of age in the video era was sort of the late 80s. So Evil Dead 2 was really the staple for us, all us mates growing up. That's the one we used to pile around each other's houses and watch. I guess it's the most accessible. But as I've grown older, it's the first one I go back to more and more, just for that feeling of what we've just discussed. You know, it's the one that pulls me the most, and I get the most. I find it the most rewarding out of them all now.
Yeah. So now we know why the novella is set in Derby, because you live it there, so you really know the city itself, the place where everything happened. But what was the let's say the component related to the video Nasty Panic? I mean, did you live itself? You got documented on this, or you lived itself? And
well, I was aware of it even at a young age, because my mum and dad were really into movies, and my dad was one of the first people within his bunch of mates who got a video player. He was a bricklayer, and I think our first video player cost him about 500 quid, and he got it on the knock, and it took him years to pay off. But he had to have, you know, this whole new thing where you could have films come into your house and just watch them on a tape was mind-blowing back in the day. And so we were one of the first people that I knew that had a tape player. And they were big horror film fans as well, my parents. So I was aware through my mum and dad of what was going on, even at 8 or 9 years old, the sort of media furore, because my dad was bringing home, you know, I spit on your grave and Dawn of the Dead and all the staples, you know. And on the news there was all this stuff about how these films are warping, you know, the children's minds, and this whole media furore with Mary Whitehouse and the Tory government. And so it was just I was very aware of it, and my mum and dad used to just sort of scoff at it. And I mean, I didn't watch those films until a little bit later. I watched Dawn of the Dead at a really young age, which really messed me up for a while. So, you know, maybe they were right, who knows. But it was to write about sort of the video era in the UK. You kind of can't ignore it. And I just thought setting it then would give it it would be a richer palette. You know, there's a lot in the background going on in Dead Leaves, all the political stuff that's happening, the raids on the video shops. It's just rife for stories. And also at the time of writing in 2005, there's been a few things since, but not many. But no one has really tackled that period in a story or in a film in the UK. There was a UK show at the beginning of this year called Video Nasty, which was so close to Dead Leaves that I've begun to wonder if they may have seen my book. Who knows? I'm not saying that, but it was so close that I was quite depressed for about 3 or 4 days. To the point where the weird thing was, when I only watched the first episode. I'm going off tangent here, sorry. In the book, my protagonist wants to make films, and he gets the idea for a film about this deadly game of hide and seek, and the people get kidnapped and get forced to play this deadly game of hide and seek with these killers that are dressed as plague doctors. You know, the old plague doctors in the Black Death period. And the killer in this program, Video Nasty, which was about a load of kids coming from Ireland trying to track down a copy of a Video Nasty, not specified. They've got a murder storyline in their show, and the killer in it was dressed as a plague doctor. I don't know, man. Anyway, I've got off track here. I don't know what I was saying now, but I think the point is that setting it a bit earlier than my own coming of age, I could have all that rich political stuff to give it a certain weight beneath the surface. It just seemed like it was such a frenzied time in the media and in the country because of these tapes that were just coming out into the world, because there was no, you probably know that in the UK, the censorship laws, because they didn't foresee videotapes, there was a loophole. So all these producers of horror films could basically get through the rating system and do anything, and then there was this whole, crackdown on it before they started, censoring and legitimizing it, I suppose. So that's how all these films got through. The Evil Dead is kind of an anomaly in the list of, I think it was 72 titles. It's an anomaly in the sense that, well, for one, it's a really good film. Not many of them were. And it's got a, although it is a really gruesome film, it's got it's got a tone and a humor to it that that takes it into a different place. I think it doesn't sort of belong on that list for me, but it was, and it was quite notorious, and it just seemed like a rich ground to tell a story. Sam Raimi came and had to defend the film on our late night TV show. I think it was Central Weekend Live, which was here in the Midlands where I am. And if you watch that, I'm sure you've seen that footage. Poor Sam, he's just sitting there trying to. There's all these people ranting at him for making this film that they have never seen. They never saw that film. And he's, poor Sam's just so, he's trying his best,
It's just a bias. It's just a bias about the content of the movie. Yeah, absolutely. And as you introduced it, this is a coming of age novella, and so the book, as we say, is about 3 teenagers searching for this forbidden VHS of the Evil Dead. So I have two questions about this. The first one: what does the quest represent? That quest represent to you beyond just the hunt for a movie? And moreover, many fans of horror and cult cinema will recognize themselves in your character's obsession. Do you see Dead Leaves as a love letter to horror fandom itself?
I do, and I think that's probably why it's a coming of age novel, because, well, one, I do like writing about kids, particularly working class kids. You don't sort of see it in many books these days, but that language that I grew up with, that sort of real authentic working class language that you just don't see, seems to have been eradicated from books and TV now. But I just wanted to show that at that age, your whole outlook on life is informed in those fertile years, and the things that you get into are often the things that you stay into for the rest of your life. You know, they become very powerful, potent things. And I think that it's a quest novel, but instead of a grail, they're going after a videotape. But it's just as important to them. You know, it's their lifeline to. It's opening their doors and their eyes to things beyond their little small working class industrial town life. You know, and I wanted to show that sort of transition between childhood and adulthood is really the sort of the great sort of ground for storytelling, and particularly a story about being inspired by a piece of work, in this case a film, to the point where it makes you want to create yourself. So there's been lots of books and films and stuff about I suppose about music, in terms of like people being such fans of music that they go and form their own band, and there's that coming of age story about kids forming a band and becoming successful because they loved music so much. But I've never seen it done about well, there probably is films about filmmakers wanting to make films because of film, but I've never seen it done about a horror film, or particularly a horror film from that sort of era, you know. Not that I know of anyway. And I just thought it was a really fertile ground to tell a sort of a quest story and show that the universality of being into something. It doesn't matter if you're into The Evil Dead or not, or horror films themselves. It's hopefully you'll be able to see, if you read the book, that spark that everyone can get from any kind of piece of art to make you want to go and do something yourself.
Yeah, I think it's the core of or your novella. I mean, the one you're telling us. And so another question is, how did The Evil Dead itself influence your writing? I mean, not just the plot, because obviously it's different, but as a cultural phenomenon of that time.
I think in terms of writing, I think it's the humor that really connected with me and my mates when we were kids. You know, we'd never seen a horror film that that infused such gore, and then, you know, the Three Stooges. You know, it's an anomaly in every way. This film, there's no other horror film like it. So the humor was a real important factor for us growing up. And when I started writing my own stuff, I wanted to really inject that kind of not so much slapstick Three Stooges humor, but the humor of also the three of them as well, particularly Bruce and Sam. The way they used to just rib each other, and you know, Sam just torturing Bruce and stuff. All that fun stuff that they're known for really connected with me and my mates, and you can see it in Dead Leaves as well, the way that they banter with each other and they rib each other and they take the piss out of each other, and it all comes from that. On a wider canvas, Evil Dead is one of the films. It's probably a handful of films. Evil Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Jaws are the films that made me want to make films, without a doubt. And they're always the films I go back to for that sort of that whirlpool of inspiration. You know, the making of all those films as well fascinates me. All those three films. Um, um, I think out of the three films, probably George Romero had the simplest shoot in terms of what he had to do compared to what Spielberg and Raimi had to do on their films. But still, it inspires me to want, every time I watch those films, it makes me want to go and make a film. So Evil Dead is like top 3 on that list of things of films that always make me want to go and do something, with my life instead of just sitting around doing nothing. It makes me want to. It gets me motivated and inspired, and that's never gone away from the first viewing to probably when I watch it this Halloween, which I intend to do. I'll feel it again.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, they are inspiring movies, and funny thing is, yesterday or these days is the 50th anniversary of Jaws, and anytime a movie get an anniversary like this one, I just starting thinking how much old I am.
Well, I share my birthday with Jaws.
Okay.
Yeah, I turned 50 in June, and I was born, I think, just the week before it was released in America. So I always think about sharing my birthday with Jaws. It's a marker for me. Yes, it is. I can't believe, if you think about it. So we're now 2025. Obviously, it's 50 years ago. 50 years before 1975, it was 1925. They were still making silent movies. That's it's kind of it's kind of smack in the middle almost of cinema history. It's crazy. It really is. Time, like I said before, someone's stealing time from us. I'm sure they are.
It's mad. Yeah, absolutely. It's better don't think at it, because air is starting becoming white, and
Yeah. If I could, if it's all right, just to sort of go back to what we were talking about how the sort of the quest aspect,
and absolutely,
the fandom. I've got this passage that I'd love to read. It's only short from Dead Leaves, but I think this sort of sums up the feeling of what these films mean for me. Anyway, so he's in a pub with this girl that he likes, and she says, "What is it with you lot?" she asked. All you seem to be interested in is these stupid films. Even Mark's addled over them. I mean, I like a good film, but you lot are obsessed. What is it? I wanted to tell her the truth. I wanted to tell her that horror films gave me a rush, that they fueled me, inspired me to want to get out of this town and make something of myself. I wanted to tell her that I found a strange comfort in the mall of Dawn of the Dead, or the sweltering dirt of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or the suburban nightmare of Halloween, that they were landscapes I wanted to live in, at least in my imagination. I wanted to tell her that they guided me, made me understand I didn't have to fall in line with any narrow-minded preconception of what I should be doing with my life, that there were men and women out there working on the fringes, creating macabre masterpieces that only a few small number of people in the world understood or even cared about, or so it seemed, that they had entrenched in me the idea to make independent films of my own, just like Sam Raimi and Rob Tepper and Bruce Campbell. I wanted to tell her that they made me feel alive, but I didn't. Instead, I just said, I don't know.
That's lovely.
I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to turn this light on.
Yeah.
Sorry, let's turn the light on.
Yes, it's like it's a very common theme. I mean, it's very hard to communicate your love for horror, right? It's a complex matter.
It is.
It's like
It's
when
a
you say
complex
go a movie,
people especially people who are just like, yeah, why do you watch that stuff? I've had that quite a lot. I'm sure
they think you are a maniac or stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that, a psychopath.
yeah.
More often, psychopaths love comedies or stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's in the book. There's the video shop gets raided, and there's a police officer, the main guy, that Inspector Moore, who raids the video shop. I was able to, in his dialogue, I was able to give the other side of that argument. You know, his hatred and distaste for it. He thinks all these films are made by maniacs, and this guy here, he even calls it a wicked, evil person. You know, and just for the stuff that he writes. And I wanted to try and get in that all that stuff that I've heard all my life, the other side of the argument, and sort of give it some kind of balance, but also with humor. You know, there's a lot of comedy in that, I think.
yeah. It makes full sense. Okay. So another question is, were there any particular author, filmmaker, or works that influenced the tone of your book?
Any other filmmakers?
Authors or filmmaker, or any other work? I mean,
Oh, right. The book. Well, like I was saying before, that it's a very working class novel, the kind of which you don't see anymore. So I was very interested in Alan Sillitoe and Barry Hines, who wrote Kes and The Long Distance Runner, and this very authentic Midland sort of working class stories, or Yorkshire stories as well. And it's a flavour of book that you don't really see anymore. And they were a big influence on sort of allowing myself, I suppose, to be honest in my dialogue, and the way that me and my mates used to speak to each other was something I'd not seen. So I really wanted to try and capture that, and that was a big leap for me from my first book. Just realizing that I could trust in my own sort of past and the place that I come from and the language that we used. Those authors kind of unlocked a key for me in that aspect. I think when I was writing the book, 2015, I was also reading a lot of Paul Auster. Do you know Paul Auster? He was a New York novelist, and he tended to write quite male-oriented, introspective novels, and he played around with genre as well. He liked playing around with genre, particularly detective stories. But they were always about guys on the fringes of society who either had a lot of money and just lost it, or just gave it away to try and kind of live in the ditch, I suppose, and see what interesting life they could find on the streets. And that was kind of an influence in sort of tone and style, I suppose. But ultimately, I just wanted to write a really fun, little brisk sort of quest book that incorporated so much from my own childhood, and talk a lot about the video age. In fact, the 10th anniversary edition, which is out now, is kind of a bumper pack. So I've got an introduction in this version by horror author Simon Clarke. And Simon is the author of this book, Blood Crazy, which was kind of a seminal book for me growing up. And he's a really nice guy. He's always been really supportive. And he's written a really good introduction where he talks about his experiences of growing up, because he's a bit older than us, his experiences of growing up through those early days of video, and how he used to go into back rooms of houses and just be stuck in suitcases, and and also he talks a bit about Dead Leaves and sort of his reaction to it, and how universal it seems to him as well, about the importance of finding that thing that you love that so much that it makes you want to go and do something. And then I've written quite an extensive essay at the back of the book called The Video Age, where I chart my personal history of living through that, what was essentially like a 30-year period from sort of the late 70s, early 80s through to the early, the 2010, 2011, when I last stepped into a blockbuster. It was, and I thought it was going to last forever, and it didn't, But I'm so pleased, and I feel so fortunate that I got to live through that. The age before thumbnails and a million films at your fingertips, going out there, scouring the shelves for that one thing that you want.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was a magic time. It was a magic time.
Well, it was my dad that ran the video, got the video cassette rent and brought some home. So one of my first movies was Nightmare on Elm Street. I watched it a lot of time, and I mean, it was another time. I mean,
it absolutely was. Yeah, it was.
It was an event watching a movie on your VHS tape recorder, no?
There was a magic to it. There really was. In fact, there's also at the very back of the book, there's a new short story, which is a short story that's connected to Dead Leaves. In fact, spoiler alert, the protagonist of Dead Leaves, Scott Bradley, makes a cameo in the story. But it's about something, it's called Kim Basinger. I'm afraid Kim Basinger's not in the story, but it's about a time when me and my mate, it's based on a time when me and my mate, when we were about 15 at that age, we waited outside a video shop all night, what felt like all night anyway, asking people if they'd go inside and rent out 9.5 weeks for us.
Ah, wow.
And that's what the story's based on. So it's very much, so that story very much is set, I think it's set in 88. So it's very much at the time I was really came of age in the sort of the video age. But yeah, so there's all those things in this new edition of Dead Leaves, and alongside the story itself.
I've seen that on the cover there is even a quote by Graham Humphrey. That's right.
Absolutely. And Graham Humphreys wrote, and it still blows me away, but he says that this book is the Fahrenheit 451 of the video era. Now, as someone who loves Ray Bradbury and really loves that book, I can't tell you what that meant, And it's there's some wonderful people that said some wonderful things. In fact, I wanted to ask you. So when I first wrote this book, I managed through my I've got a co-writer in the screenplays that I write. I've got a regular co-writer, Matthew Waldron. His wife is from Michigan, and a family friend of theirs just happens to be Tom Sullivan. So using these connections, it's who you know in this world, right? So using those connections, I got this book to him, and he gave me a lovely quote, and he also sent me a little Necronomicon. But this is my favorite thing that he sent me, and I think you'll be able to see that if I angle it.
Yeah.
This is a badge from the premiere of the Book of the Dead, which is what the Evil Dead. Obviously, your viewers will know that this was what the Book of the Evil Dead was called before.
Yeah.
Title, and I believe you got one of these as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great time to get one.
I've got this badge, and it says at the bottom, Renaissance Pictures, 1981. How cool is that? Before it was even the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
My wife was cleaning out my drawer the other day. Well, we were having a bit of a sort out, and she picked this up and she said, "Do you want to keep this?" I said,
"Oh my God."
I said, I can't even warrant that with an answer, and put it straight back in the drawer. So, yeah. Where did you get your pin from?
There was a guy from Michigan, from Detroit, if I'm not wrong, that was selling his belongings before, because his son was not interested in that kind of stuff. So he was there. He was physically there when the premiere was happening.
Wow.
And he was so kind to sell the pin to me.
I mean, I want to believe that this was there that night. I want to believe that this was what Tom was wearing, but I've probably put that in my head. I don't know. There must have had loads of them, but was this there that night? I don't know, but
we'll never know. But
never know.
We
But
can dream about it. It's a quest itself. You know?
It's a quest itself, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to know that my beginning in this Evil Dead Italia thing was the fact I want to make a Panasonic Hercules 706 S working. So I got one in the United States. Wow. Then I discovered it cannot work in Europe due to the frequency and stuff like that. Yeah. But to make it work, you need a generator, because the frequency is not like the attachment to the you need a generator of that kind of energy. Right. It's not just the word can I forgot the word anyway. So I discovered that there are some devices made to use American shaver in Europe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they are strange devices. I mean, they are ugly devices with a lot of cable. Yeah. And with this, I can make it work. And I recorded on an iPod the sequence of Word by Dr. Novai, and then I bought a reel and make it work. So it took a lot of time talking in forums on about radios and stuff like that, because they told me that if I make I use the recorder with the wrong frequencies, it could even blow.
Right. Okay. But did you get it working?
Yeah. There is even a video of that working. But it was my first thing, you know. And after that, the obsession grew.
Well, and now you've got quite a collection. I mean, I've seen some of it online, and it's amazing, the stuff that you've got. Have you got anything that was? Have you got any proper anything that was on that shoot?
Not on the movie, not on the first movie. But the first movie, I just have a press and stuff like that, like the pin or movie program, lobby cars and stuff.
There's probably nothing left.
Yeah, I have something from the second Evil Dead that are just pieces of the cabin.
Oh, really?
Yes, end of the terrain of the cabin.
Is that the cabin that they built it in a school, didn't they?
No, that was the internal, but the cabin really existed and fall down and.
Sorry, the interior. Sorry, yeah.
And I have something from the series. Yeah, from the actual Evil Dead series. Yeah,
cool, great, and wow, yeah. So you really identify with Scott Bradley in Dead Leaves, then?
In a sort of way, yeah. We have not the same age, because I don't remember, but it was 2 or 3 years old when the novella happened. But
so did you discover the Evil Dead in the kind of mid-90s?
Yes, in 1993, because my dad brought me to the theater to see Army of Darkness.
Okay, right, yeah.
And then I see the movies in TV.
Yes.
In the night, there was a sort of creepy, like, you know, the character from Creepshow, a character that introduced horror movies in Italian TVs.
Okay. Yeah.
Creepy, Zio Tibia, we call it here, and he introduced the movies. So it was a little bit forbidden watching this kind of stuff at night, but it was funny. That's the forbidden aspect to it. Is it's just
You can't beat that.
The,
You know.
the good thing for me is that my parents don't forbid this to me. So
Well,
I
like I
watched
said,
a lot of horror movies, luckily.
yeah. Well, I was the same. Like I said, I was allowed to watch Dawn of the Dead at a very young age. I was probably about 9 or 10, and American Werewolf in London, and all those films were particularly seminal for me. I mean, Dawn of the Dead. Watching Dawn of the Dead at probably 9 or 10 was like I was pinned back to the sofa. I couldn't move. It was a complete. I remember it being such a visceral experience, you know. But also, it's such a cool adventure film. You know, I wanted to be one of those SWAT team guys. You know, that was. I used to play it. I was probably the only kid around our way that was wanted to play Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
And that obviously led on later to Sam's films.
Those were magic moments. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions more on your
Okay.
work. The first one is, what was the biggest challenge in writing the book?
I think just getting the tone and just being true to the period. I didn't do too much research, and I do a little bit of a cheat at the front of the book where I say, because I do sort of quote some politicians that were around at the time talking about the video nasties, and some news reports that I've quoted that were probably, you know, 6 months to a year apart, but I've condensed it all into a single October as the events of our protagonist's journey happen, you know, just to condense it all. So in that, I've been quite freewheeling with the actual facts, hard facts there. But, you know, I think that the toughest thing was to try and get the tone of the era. You know, obviously, like, I was 8 years old at the time, and although I do remember it, I was only 8. So getting a feeling of that time was what was important to me. And yeah, I think that was it. But once I got the characters talking, it was fine. You know, it's I like writing dialogue, and I like characters, and I like once I get people talking, the thing just seems to move for me, you know.
Okay, this is a strange question, but it could be inspiring. Nowadays, everything has changed. I mean, as you say, there are you can just click and getting everything you want. No,
Mm-hmm.
skip scenes, or watch just the final of the movies and stuff like that. So, do you think that your novella could be brought to today's scenario, or it can just work with that background?
I think it's very specific to the period. I don't know, because obviously the nature of them having to go and search for it, you don't need to do that anymore. So the whole plot, the whole quest doesn't work. You know, they'll just go, you know, where's my phone? They'll just pick one of these up and find it. You know what I mean? It's these ruined stories. These things. That's probably why I never write contemporary things. They just get out of jail free cards for, you know, any kind of problem that you face. But yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one to answer. I mean, in my old age now, at 50, do younger generations even feel the same way about art as we did? I'm not sure. Everything's so disposable, and they've been brought up in a disposable society. Everything's just flick, flick, flick. And I don't know if music and films or books mean as much I mean, obviously, I can't speak for everyone, and I'm sure there's kids out there that are discovering Oasis now and wanting to pick up a guitar. You know, that's great. You know, that's what you want. But I don't know. I don't know if things mean the same as they used to. God, I sound
Yeah.
like a right old man, don't I?
No, but I fully agree with you because nowadays it's harder and harder. I mean, even physical stuff is becoming useless, and
Yeah, people don't want to own anything. That's another thing, you know.
collector can be seen as, oh, I missed the word. Order. Connectors can see like order. I mean,
Yeah,
there are
well,
even
yeah.
there are even programs, TV programs in US, I suppose, that they talk about these people collecting stuff, and
Yeah. Orders, yeah.
we are seen we are seen as nerd in a certain way. Being an horror fan, I think is for example, if you were passionate about, I don't know, role playing or video games, now that kind of nerd,
Yeah.
it's streamlined, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of changed, hasn't it? Yeah.
The horror movie fan, indeed, I think it's not. It is always a niche. I mean,
Mm.
it's always a strange person for. It's a nerd, but it's a strange nerd. It's a dark nerd, you know. It's what stuff do
Yeah.
you see on the what stuff do you watch? I mean, so so
Yeah, it's a very interesting time. I think that we seem to be at this sort of crossroads. I think, and I think, I mean, this is a whole other subject that that's worrying me or concerning or the forefront of my mind quite a lot. But the sort of the rapid advancement of AI is going to change how we consume everything, how we consume entertainment, even more so. I was watching this thing last night about the Wizard of Oz that's being screened at the Sphere in Las Vegas, and how it's this immersive experience. And the first thing I asked when I saw some footage of it was obviously the frame for the Wizard of Oz is the frame that the director framed that shot, but now those shots have been extended. You can see the top of the tornado and these cows flying over there, and I'm like, well, they've used AI to widen the frame of the whole film. I mean, it's undeniably impressive, but also really worrying.
yeah,
That they can now manipulate someone's piece of work without their consent and extend what the director wanted the audience to see. That's a slippery slope, I think. And where does it lead? So, it's we're a few years away from being able to put yourself in the Evil Dead.
yeah.
What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know where it goes from there. Who's going to pay to go and see Tom Cruise when they can just put themselves in Mission Impossible? I mean, it's a ridiculous thing to say, but it's coming. Is it going to be legitimized? What they're going to do with protecting people's copyright? They don't seem to care about that. So, sorry, I'm babbling now, but it's a whole thing. Like we are on the precipice of a whole new a whole new way of consuming entertainment.
Yeah.
And we're just seeing a glimpse of where it could possibly go. Like the Sphere thing with the Wizard of Oz is just one aspect of how we could eventually consume media. You could have the whole cabin of the Evil Dead immersed around you as you watch the film. That's going to be possible, but
at what price?
that's not what, at a price, but also that's not what Sam Raimi wanted you to see.
Yeah,
what I mean. He framed that shot for you to view it like that. So what does that mean? I don't know. I've got no answers. I just know that there's big changes coming, and I'm old and I'm an analog guy, and I
Yeah,
don't
me too,
know
me
what to
too, me
make of
too.
it.
Last week I was so happy to put a CRT TV with a VHS integrated in my room. So I mean,
Nice.
I am a strange person. I think. I have a last question, and this is a real curiosity I have. So you are not only a writer, but also a filmmaker. So I have to ask: Dead Live is going to be a movie. Would you want to direct it?
I would love to direct it. It's kind of my dream project, and I've written a screenplay for Dead Leaves, which I do need to revisit and tweak and rewrite because it was a while ago I wrote it. But it's one I'd love to make. But it's a period film. I mean, what's weird is now to think that something that's set within my lifetime would now be viewed as a period film. But it is a period film. 1983 would be very costly to recreate.
Yeah, in fact, it was the second question. How much Derby has changed in the time? I mean,
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I'd love to set it where it's set, and I feel like my screenwriting career is kind of tipping over. I'm part of a few projects that seem to be getting some quite major interest at the minute, and hopefully that will continue. And if it does, I hope that I can get to a position eventually where someone says to me, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And I'll be holding this book up. Yeah, I'd love to make it. I don't know exactly how to make it. I've even got all the music for it. I've got a Spotify playlist with the Dead Leaves soundtrack, and it's all sort of cool songs from that period. But it's the one that you kind of work towards, I think. But yeah, I'd love to do it.
Yeah, and I love to watch it. I mean, I was very curious. I love when this kind of story get a cinematization. I mean, a movie version.
Well, hopefully one day. I mean, no one's optioned it yet. I've got the script. It's there. Any producers listening, it's available. I'm available. I'm not above saying that.
Okay, so I think we are done. But before leaving, I would like ask you if you can share. I mean, where people can find the book, if the book is already on the shelves. And
Yeah. This Amazon is I guess the port of call. It's also on Waterstone's website, the Great British Bookshop. Foils, I think it's on there. It should be around. It's slowly going to trickle out into a couple of independent bookshops, hopefully. But this is the thing, without a major publisher behind you these days, it's getting tougher to get your work out in the world, I think. But I think I love this edition. I love that Simon's written this introduction for me. I really like the short story in it, and I want to try and get it out there as much as I can. So yes, please pick up a copy from wherever you can. It's out there, but you could just find me on my Instagram at I forgot what my Instagram was called. AD Barker. I didn't know if it was my full name or not. Yeah, AD Barker, and there's links on there.
Yeah, and I've seen you have even the audiobook version on.
Yeah, there's an audiobook version on Audible. Yes.
Yeah,
it's a really good
reader.
Yeah, really good reader. Josh Shirt. And I tell you what, it took a while to find a reader that could do that sort of working class voice and be authentic, because there's a lot of people that read audiobooks have got this very, let's say, more plummy, middle class, upper class English voice. So it took a while to find someone, but he does a really good job. He's as common as I am, so it works.
Love it. Okay, so thank you, Andy, for being with us.
Thank you.
I'm going surely to reread the book, and I invite everyone that haven't never read this one to grab a copy, because it's a book that deserves a read. And so thank you, Andy. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone watching this live stream. Hopefully, it's not going to be the last one in a while, but probably my live stream will not be so. Sorry, I'm missing the word, but I'm not going to be online so often like in the past. But hopefully, I'm going to be there and tell you new Evil Dead stories. So thank you very much. Have a good night or good day, really, depending on your time zone. And I'm closing the streaming. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.